You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello and welcome to another Force 13 live commentary. Today we're talking about Typhoon Doksuri, which is developing, strengthening Category 2 storm on the Saffir-Simpson scale with winds of 105 miles per hour and estimated central pressure of 961 millibars. A storm that has an air of size about it. It's large, it has a substantially large eye as well. And it is venturing still in a kind of westerly direction, which puts the Philippines a little bit more in harm's way than what we may have been expecting earlier on. My name's Nathan Foy here in the studio, and I'll be here dissecting this storm with my team over the next 2 hours. This replaces our usual tropical weather bulletin, and obviously we have a full packed live stream here showing you all the different views of Doksuri and more, I'm sure. We'll probably even get to talk about Don for a little bit. The storm that was a hurricane has now weakened in the North Atlantic, and other areas of interest. But also, we'll get to take your comments and questions live on the air as well. You can start your message with Force 13 all in text. Alright then, well that's good, an unblemished beginning to a stream, which is rare these days, and I am joined right now by Taniel, Dino, Alex, Ethan's with us as well, joining in the last minute there, and Marlene. Hello to all of you joining us from differing parts of the world. Who would like to begin on this developing situation right now?
Doksuri looks large and in charge.
Large and in charge. That is an interesting strapline. Yeah, I mean, kind of agree with that. Two different views there of infrared. The unenhanced, or rather the... well, it is sort of unenhanced geocolor, showing the storm there. And on the top right, that's the enhancement that RAM uses, the ZAIR enhancement on the Force 13 website, with the rapid scan in play there as well, I think, although the imagery actually doesn't look any better than the main one, so I'm questioning that. Taniel, yeah, you wanted to say something there as well to kick us off?
I mean, honestly, to be fair, I woke up only a few hours ago, so this is actually my first look at the system. A lot better organized than the other day. The other day, it was just beginning to wrap around. Still, the center was slightly exposed on the northern edge, but now it's a bit of a beast that's rapidly intensifying, and honestly, about what you would see around this part of the world, to be honest.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I might say a little bit early in the season, but it
early, but
it isn't really, to be honest, because you can sometimes get really strong. Wasn't Typhoon Nina in 1975 a July storm? I mean, that was extremely deadly. But yeah, certainly we can see things like this. Here is the Pagasa cone. The Philippine name is Ige, and they're expecting it to be a typhoon and briefly a super typhoon there as it moves through the Cagayan group of islands, which is interesting. Takes it quite close to the northern tip of Luzon and south of the Batanes Islands there. So that's 2 a.m. local time on Wednesday they have at its peak intensity. So there we go. Fascinating, and weakening quite a lot as it moves past Taiwan later on. Warnings that are in effect for this storm right now, here they are. from Pagasa, and you can see there's a few spots there where there's signal 2 warnings in effect right now. This is actually just updated, so that renders my bottom bar useless already, because they have just motioned a small signal 2 extension for part of Isabela province, and signal 1 warnings have been extended a lot further west than what we had earlier as well, extending to the whole west coast as far south as Pangasinan, and the east coast right through Quezon and Aurora, instead of not including southern Aurora and Quezon at the last update. So a big shift west with those warnings, and I don't know if, Ethan, you might want to talk about this. The trend on this storm, is it still trending westwards on the forecast?
A little bit. It has trended westwards over the past 24 hours. I know that I made a forecast cone just after 8 a.m. local time last night. That's 0Z on the universal clock. And that had a storm making landfall in central Taiwan in around, in around 4 days from now, or 3 days from now, technically. And obviously that shifted a lot further towards the south. It's now looking like the center is going to make a close pass to the southern tip of Taiwan, maybe missing Taiwan altogether. And it's really interesting for Taiwan. That would be my main area of focus right now, because they don't have one typhoon threat. They probably have two with a 91W behind it.
Now, that's interesting. It's something that we are looking at, and has got at least a medium chance of development right now.
Yep, and for Doksuri, of course, that is the main situation. With this westward trend, of course, with this westward trend that we've been seeing, you would normally expect the intensity forecast to go down, actually, but I think it's actually gone up quite a little bit. On the intensity forecast. I know that my forecast cone was forecasting 140 miles per hour in 3 days, 2 days from now, technically. And I'd probably raise that a little bit higher. We'll have to wait and see, because I am working on a forecast cone as we speak.
First visible image is starting to appear already on the Himawari 9 satellite. Here is one of them, and you can see its eye quite clear to see already. If we just take away the other image, maybe see it a bit more clearly there, it's looking pretty good, and we'll try and grab one of those images to put up. I reckon we should put that on our social media there, because that looks pretty decent. So I'm going to go and work on that whilst we go along here. Also with us right now, we have Alex. Nice of you to join us as well. You've been tracking this storm too, so what are your thoughts on Doksuri as you look at it today?
Most likely a category 2 at most, even though that the satellite imagery doesn't really look that good for now, but it might become a super typhoon as the storm goes on.
Yeah, can't completely be ruled out. Dino, any thoughts from you as well?
Yeah, I've been tracking this on Zoom.Earth, and then I may expect that Typhoon Doksuri may rush the head of Philippines, I might say, and then ricochet through Taiwan, and then terminated at China.
That sounds about right. Now, if the storm does move close to Taiwan, it will certainly weaken the storm quite a bit with the landmass involved. Taiwan consistently does an absolute number on tropical cyclones, doesn't it?
A lot of mountain terrain up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have say a strong Category 5 move into Taiwan, with winds, let's just say hypothetically, of 175 miles an hour at landfall in Taiwan, and it could emerge off of western Taiwan probably as a low-end Category 1. So the mountainous terrain of Taiwan has been known to be pretty devastating to storms. But one thing that will weaken this storm long before the mountains of Taiwan get to it will actually be decreasing ocean heat content and a
Right.
slight decrease in sea surface temperatures. I'm just looking at the Japan Meteorological Agency's forecast cone. They're actually forecasting a pressure of 925 millibars of the storm just off the northern coast of Luzon. But this is really interesting. They think that Doksuri, when it makes landfall in mainland China, will only be a severe tropical storm, not even a typhoon.
Do you say that was the JMA's forecast?
Yeah, which I can get behind the peak intensity of 925 millibars, which is probably a high-end Category 4. But I can't wrap my head around that China landfall. Only with 10-minute sustained wind speeds of 65 miles per hour on their forecast. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's going to be a lot stronger whenever it gets to China.
Well,
Kinda remind me
Pegasa
of
are running
Florida.
with that as well, interestingly. They've got severe tropical storm at landfall on Friday.
The storm isn't going to weaken as much as they think it is, mainly because of how large this storm is. That
Right.
in my eyes, will make it more likely to, be able to take advantage of its broadness and use those conditions more fairly.
Let's get
If
another
this-
angle on
yeah.
it. Just look at the JTWC forecast. They're expecting, trying to read that at a distance, I think that's 80 knots
90 mile an
at
hour.
80
90
knots
miles
at
an hour.
landfall, 90 miles per hour, which is a little bit higher. I think that's a decent forecast. Their maximum, they're expecting 125 knots at peak, and that's actually pretty soon. I'm not sure it's developing quite as quickly as might have been first thought.
It's also just so big, so it takes some time.
It is
But it's
big.
also moving very slow. Right now, if you pull up my loop, this is the last 12 hours, and this thing has barely moved.
All right, let me just try and get this loaded for the first time. It might take a moment. Let's see if it's this button. Oh, it is. Yes, there we go. That is a cool loop there. That's Zoom Earth as well. So that's a whole 12 hours.
Yeah.
And not very much movement involved there, but what you'll
it's like-
notice even more than that is that it's due west the whole time.
Yeah. And even a little earlier, like if you go to the 24-hour, it does jog a little southward too. So the good question will be, when does it make the turn?
I think
And-
that turn is going to happen really soon.
Well, it'll
In
have to
theory,
if
it
it's gonna
will,
miss.
but or otherwise, it's slamming right, or gonna
Yeah.
maybe even clip. It could clip the Philippine Islands, at least the northern half.
I
But,
just want to point out that this storm actually going through Luzon is going to lead to this storm having a much higher peak intensity actually than if it didn't hit Luzon. Just want to point that out.
Do you want to explain that?
Mainly because it'll keep further south in the South China Sea. Yes, sea surface temperatures have been tapped a little bit because of I forgot its name, Talium, I believe. But wind shear is going to remain low down there, and overall the environmental conditions are favor a stronger peak intensity than if it was over there, north of Luzon.
So as you can see, it's got our little dashboard going on here. We're here for the 2 hours to talk about this storm. After we're done tonight, and this morning local time, we'll throw you back to our automated stream, which is running all the time. It's a little bit out of date at the moment. I'll have to go and update it as soon as I finish here. And then after that, at 5:30 midnight UTC, which is just over 2 hours away, we're also on the 413 Extra channel doing a virtual flight into the storm as well. So that might be of interest to some of you. Let's see if we can take some comments and questions. There's been a lot, and surely a lot of interest around this storm for obvious reasons. Goober keeps asking, could Doksuri become a low-end Category 5? I mean...
It could, but depends. If it really, really got its act together, it's a low certainty for right now, but I wouldn't say it's completely zero.
It's
I would
unlikely.
agree with that.
I think we're actually giving it 15% chance of Category 5 conditions on some of the islands, though.
I wouldn't put honestly in my eyes. I don't see it going, not even going that high of a percentage.
No.
I say more like a 5,
Well,
and that's at max.
I don't
But
think it will get to Category 5, but we've seen
if things
stranger
change, I say it might have a shot at getting to Cat 4, but
Cat 4 is almost guaranteed for this storm.
Yeah.
almost guaranteed.
And another thing,
But
though,
how high in Cat 4?
July does see a lot of strong Cat 4s that don't get to Category 5 status, so I do get the impression this might turn out to be another one of those.
Yeah.
Personally, I also would not count on the storm reaching Category 5 status either.
Hurricane Alton Ebron says, what is Doksuri's eye temperature and size, and when will it make landfall? I heard quoted earlier on that its eye temperature, according to them, was around 16 degrees, and it wouldn't surprise me, or maybe even higher than that. As for landfall time, you see Pegasus Cone there. They're expecting landfall on some of the islands on early hours of Wednesday morning. So UTC, that would be afternoon, evening on Tuesday. So less than 48 hours. And then for the Chinese landfall, assuming it does go that way, we're looking at early hours of Friday, local time. And if it was to steer into Taiwan, that landfall would probably be on Thursday morning.
So take this eye temperature, the current eye temperature, with a grain of salt, since it is a little ragged, but this is also from what I can see, 12 degrees Celsius.
12.
The warmest I'm seeing, at least on windy, is where I can actually get that measurement. That is the northern part of the eye. But currently it's a little ragged, so we'll wait for it to develop its eye a little bit more.
I'm thinking it might be more than that. We'll have to wait and see.
It's clouding over, that's the problem.
Oh, as of what timestamp?
Well, it's a little bit ragged, so it's a little bit more cloudy in the eye, and actually it's... Let me see if I can pick out from earlier.
All right.
Come back to me.
Fire Shire says, will it make landfall in Luzon as the last frame shows it going south? Well, it's not south, but it is due west right now. So at every moment that it continues moving westwards, those percentage chances are creeping up for a landfall on Luzon itself. So we're definitely getting a bit closer to that.
I wouldn't count on it though. I wouldn't completely discount it though, but I would say that a landfall in Luzon is unlikely, but not out of the question.
Another question here, how much rainfall will they get from Typhoon Doksuri? It could be a massive rainmaker, and when I was looking at the potential totals, mainly in Taiwan, if it was to make landfall there, it reminded me all too much of Nipatak, Ethan. When we look at this storm, rainfall projections, if it makes landfall on some of the mountain areas, or even over the islands actually, we are talking in excess of 700 millimeters. I know that Nipatak, which people have been comparing for multiple reasons, time of year, potential strength, track, but for me, rainfall, because it produced, I think it was just over 900 millimeters in parts of Taiwan.
Also,
personally, I would be a bit more reluctant to compare the storm to Nipartak. First off, Nipartak formed a lot further east.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it formed back near Guam, and this formed well to the west of Guam. Second thing is, I know that a lot of rainfall is going to be possible with this, but I'd honestly be much more concerned in the immediate term of rainfall over northern Luzon rather than Taiwan.
Yeah, well, That's the thing with this track moving westwards, and that does put things into more perspective with the potential for 20 inches, 500 millimeters now, possibly reaching Luzon, and certainly to the islands north of it.
Mm.
Tanya, you wanted to cut
Absolutely.
in?
Yeah, so back to the earlier question. I found around an hour and a half ago a spot that hit 17 Celsius.
That sounds more like it.
Now, since it's kind of like pinched in more and it's trying to form its full eye, still, currently only seeing what I said earlier, but inside the actual storm, it could be a different story.
Storm Dennis says, could the large size of its eye put a dent in its rate of rapid intensification? And they put lower
No.
conservation of angular momentum.
No, I would say no, actually, because we've had large-eyed storms initially almost get up towards Category 5 status, and some have actually gotten there.
Which ones
Main
would you
one that
point
I would
to?
say, main one that I would say that had a large eye initially that got, I'd say, arguably 2 Category 5, hence it would be Lan in 2017.
Uh-huh, yeah. I had a feeling you'd be mentioning that one. I agree.
I mean, obviously, Category 5 status isn't out of the question, but, I mean, this storm has already had its large eye, and it's already jumped from basically a 65-mile-an-hour tropical storm to where it is now in 24 hours, so it's done that. I don't see why it couldn't continue, albeit at a little bit of a slower pace.
Just
Few
look,
convection blasts in the last hour, too.
are we talking on the east side there? There's a little bit going on, and south?
Yes.
Let's see if there's a new visible image whilst we're here, and there's another new visible. You can quite clearly see the... For some reason my mouse is on here, but it's actually helpful. I can point to things a little bit better. So a big ring of convection there around that western side of the eye, and a small one there on the eastern side on this very latest visible imagery. That, of course, is the eye wall with its inner band and outer bands.
Yes. Still no northern, really. Still kind of a
There's
little...
a hole.
Yeah.
The
So
northern
it doesn't open
side,
up.
the northern side right now is struggling with dry air. That's quite common given these large storms. Eventually, give it time and it'll mix out that dry air. It's just going to take time to mix it all out.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Which, to be fair, most storms do get their situation organized in environments like this.
All right. Let me just take a look at some more comments here. Not Mr. Popular 009 says, thoughts about ADT Dvorak estimates rising past T5.5 for over 5 to 6 hours. I haven't been looking at those numbers today, but I know that it was mentioned earlier that it was over 90 knots. Let's have a quick look at it. You won't see it on the screen, but Sims ADT right now is 110 knots.
That's too high. This storm is not 110 knots right now.
And usually NOAA ends up being quite similar. Let me have a look. It is currently going for the same thing, 110 knots, 947 millibars, and that is T5.
947, what?
And that is T5.8. Well, it would be if it had those winds, considering that we're going 961 for 105 miles an hour. I mean, they're saying 125 miles an hour. 947 might be a bit high, actually. But that's according to those estimates. So why do you think that they're going so high right now, and why is it wrong?
Probably primarily due to the eye temperature, because the eye temperature is so warm. That'd be my guess.
I mean, when you look at the numbers in isolation. It's got big cloud tops extending around large parts of the eye, well into the -80s. An eye temperature at times which could be, was it 19 degrees? Northwestern Iowa, though, is struggling. The structure of the storm is potentially a bit misleading. I would say it's probably borderline Category 3 right now, though.
Nah, I wouldn't really call it a Cat 3.
It's close,
It's
but
a borderline.
I would say that it's probably 110 miles per hour right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning
We'll have to
forward
wait and see what I actually go with on the upcoming TWO, though.
Of course, on our update live event here, we'll be keeping it at 105. But we'll see how that goes.
And I'm currently jumping into the game that you don't want me to jump on air right now.
Man.
Listen, it looks nice in the flight sim. It's a little too nice, shall we say.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Maury's Data on the Road says, do you think it's still likely the storm will veer towards a Taiwan landfall? Now, I did look at some models earlier. GFS had a run that had the storm doing a little bit of a pivot towards the west and then back northwards, a bit of an oscillation. But that wasn't until it reached those islands off the northern tip of Luzon. So I can't see it happening now. And the more you look at the image in front of you there, the less likely it appears that this storm will make a direct impact on at least northern Taiwan. But it still looks pretty close for southern Taiwan. Could be possible still. And some more questions here as well. Keep them coming in. I mean, we're happy to do all of this. Does 90W have a chance to become a typhoon? Now, what's 90W, Ethan? Is that the one behind it?
That is the one behind. Well, it's not 90W anymore for some reason. JTWC dropped that one and designated 91W instead.
So it's a big area here that's gonna take its time as well to get ready, just like Doksuri did.
I'll pull up the latest GFS run on WSV3 here. That way we can see what happens with this.
No, don't do that, because the new ones will have just come out on the websites.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you do have a fair point. But either way, what I can do, though, is I can bring up the rainfall track, I guess you could say. We'll pull that up for the next 7 days. And here's Doksuri's track. I'll circle Doksuri's track. This is 91W over here. We'll talk about this here in a minute. But you can see here Doksuri producing a large amounts of rainfall, potentially 30 inches or so, or maybe even a little bit higher than that, maybe in isolated areas, because this is mountainous terrain here, just north of Luzon. I mean, this is really close. At least this is just one model run to northern Luzon, Nathan.
Yeah, that's Cagayan Island there that potentially gets 30 inches of rainfall, which is over 700 millimeters.
It's very close. And then, of course, you've got the eastern slopes of Taiwan getting rainfall through it as well.
A lot there too. Above 400 millimeters, 500 there actually.
And absolutely, and you still have rainfall threat potentially up here in China too.
Although
there's a lot of areas.
I think recent runs have downplayed that a little bit more now. Earlier, I remember seeing that large parts of the greater Shanghai area could have got 10 inches, but obviously the track has seriously changed since then. No.
And obviously, you can see 91W back here. This is the 12Z run of the GFS, and this model run actually had this typhoon sort of making a track like that.
Man.
So maybe another typhoon for Taiwan. I know that the Canadian model run suggests that this storm could actually go right into Taiwan. So So maybe a double typhoon threat for Taiwan on the cards here. And personally, I'd be a little bit more worried rainfall threat-wise with 91W for Taiwan. I think that the heaviest rainfall threat for Doksuri is going to be these northern Philippine islands, and Taiwan is going to get more rainfall threat from 91W as it looks right now, if you ask me.
Maybe.
Mm.
Let's go to the new model run, which is just coming out, the 18Z GFS.
You want me to screen share that one?
I've already got it here. Got it ready. Sorry,
Well, this is
Ethan.
my overall reaction as well.
So just take those things off. So it initializes the storm at 962 millibars, very close to its intensity that we have it marked down at the moment. What happens to it then? It strengthens, still at a similar pace, down to the upper 930s, 938 there. And then it does do a slight stalling motion, and then it just gets sucked up there, the western coast of Taiwan, very close to the coast, and that means it will weaken precipitously before reaching China, probably only as a, I gotta say, even a borderline typhoon if that happens, albeit it does take it closer to the Taiwanese mountains than what the recent forecasts from the agencies have been saying. And then inland, it's still traceable for a bit. In fact, it's still there. Could still be a cyclone there, actually, in the northern seas of China and just through the northern Korean Peninsula and off to the northeast. Then you've got that next typhoon, which I'm sure you've been looking at as well. 91W, that is. And then GFS puts that down to 942, and it loops around. Actually, 939 there. That is August the 1st. It's still quite a way out, but that is a close shave again with northern Taiwan as a strong typhoon. And then a third system starting to form outside of that one at the end of that run. Just get the rainfall estimates if it's come out yet. It is out far enough. And here it is again. Very large amounts of rain in those yellow zones. Very large amounts. Can't quite figure out what numbers those are because of the colouring. But also want to point out, Ethan, in that period, Guam is getting a huge amount of rain in the next 7 days, according to this.
Yeah, I think that's primarily due to the precursor to what is currently 91W, I believe. Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. There's sort of an outer band of 91W that it just sets up over Guam for 3 days straight.
Gee.
And that's I think those values are a little bit inflated personally.
Yeah, quite possibly. So we're live on YouTube right now. Feel free to share the stream if there are people you know out there who might benefit from our coverage this evening or this morning local time. And you can follow us on all of our social media outlets. We are here for the 2 hours. Marlene, we didn't get to hear too much from you earlier on, so I just wondered if you had any other thoughts on Typhoon Doksuri right now as it continues this movement, which still looks to be slowly westwards.
Yeah, that's what it does look like. However, it can change at a moment's notice as well. Just hope everyone's just staying safe and hopefully it doesn't hit land too bad.
Now let's just get, cause we have been showing the graphics, but we've not actually detailed the areas that are under the particular warnings right now. So let me just go and fetch all of that info from Pagasa. Obviously, people who are familiar with the geography will be able to read that map, but for those who want some more information, let me just read some of this out. So, a Signal 2 warning in effect for the southeastern portion of Isabela, namely Palanan and Dinapigue, and northeastern portion of Catanduanes, and that would be Pandan, Bagamanok, Panganidban, Viga, and Gigmoto. They're expecting winds of between 62 and 88 kilometers per hour in at least 24 hours. That, of course, is lower to mid-tropical storm range. and they have all kinds of precautionary measures that they usually put out on their website. Just to mention a few of them, the sea and coastal waters are dangerous to small sea craft. Special attention should be given to the latest position, direction and speed and movement of the intensity of the storm, as it may intensify and move towards the locality. Any travellers, caution to avoid unnecessary risks. Outdoor activities should be postponed. Secure properties before the signal is upgraded, and disaster preparedness agencies and organisations are in action to alert their communities. To prepare flashlights, batteries, matches, kerosene lamps or candles, and charcoal in anticipation of power failures. First aid kit and store ready to eat foods. Keep your cell phones fully charged. Elevate household things in case of flooding. And for fishing folks, secure fishing boats in safe areas. Signal 1 warnings for large parts of Luzon, the Batanes Islands, Cagayan, including the Babayan Islands, the rest of Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Apayao, Kalinga, Abra, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, the northern portion of Pangasinan, Aurora, the northern and eastern portions of Nueva Ecija, northern and southeastern portions of Quezon, including the Polillo Islands, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, the rest of Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, and Masbate. And also still in effect, Signal 1 for the whole of Samar and Biliran Island. That's all of the warnings at the moment for the Philippines. I don't think they've extended any warnings for Taiwan yet. They'll probably still be watching this closely. What are we, 2 to 3 days away from the biggest impacts to Taiwan?
Yeah, we're still a pretty good distance out for them.
Let's see if we can get some more questions. Storm Dennis says, is Doksuri currently a half-a-cane with its strongest winds on its back end?
What cane?
Half a cane. I mean, that's a genius name.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't... I'm not sure that... it's not an official term. and it would be a half-foon, I would imagine.
Half-foon.
Yeah, but
Never heard that term before.
I reckon the wind distribution is somewhat even. The weak point would be the northwestern quadrant, I'm pretty sure, looking at that. So I'm not sure what else to say about that right now. Zoom back in on the storm there as it progresses and just reload the page. I'm not sure if it does it on its own, but I'll just force the issue there, and hopefully we'll see some new visibles on this view. Of course, we've already seen some visibles here from the Himawari 9 satellite. There is first light near the Philippines right now as we look at this typhoon, which certainly looks very picturesque on satellite, on visible satellite. And let's just see if the Force 13 website is updated as well. You can take a look at all these satellite loops on our website. It hasn't updated yet. On force13.com/satellite, I think. And you can take a look at all of these storms, including Don, by the way, which is still just about alive in the Atlantic, but I'm happy to say no one's mentioned it yet in the comments.
Really?
Until now, I'm sure. All right.
Hurricane.
It was a hurricane, the first one of the season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. It was probably hurricane strength like earlier before the agency marked it.
Don't know.
I mean, the eye on that was nice.
Danielle.
Hurricane Altony Bron says, do these convection areas of Typhoon Doksuri, do they have lightning inside?
I don't know, actually.
No, but in Flight Sim, yes.
Well, possibly in reality. I
Well,
mean,
we're not
usually
using
they do.
poison, dude.
Usually they do in reality anyway. It's just whether they get detected or not. I've asked this before and I forgot what the answer was, but Himawari, I don't think they have lightning detectors on their satellites, do they? Or at least it's not public. I'm not sure, but I've never seen it.
Sure.
Emrissa05 says, will any of the main conditions needed to help the system strengthen become unfavourable before it reaches China or maybe Taiwan, given wherever it
Yes.
does eventually track?
Yes, sea upper temperatures and ocean heat content. Once the storm passes by the islands of the islands just north of Luzon, I forget what they're called. But once it passes those islands, conditions do turn a little bit more south.
And land interaction with Taiwan will hasten its weakening phase. You weren't convinced by that earlier, Ethan. Have you thought any differently with that new GFS run taking it closer to Taiwan?
I am still working on the forecast cone as we speak, and I'll have my latest thoughts on the storm here in just a few minutes.
Something that I haven't actually got around to showing yet is one of the other RAM views that I only just thought about. So let me just go and see if I can grab that. Maybe some rapid scan geocolor. That would be nice. Yes. This is one of my go-to ones as well. I'm surprised I forgot to show this. Oh, right, yeah, so we've got some imagery here. Beautiful rapid scan there showing the storm at first light and its progression there in the last, what would that be, 24 frames times by 2.5 minutes, 50 minutes of imagery. So looking very decent on that visible, and it again shows the quite large size of the storm. Let's see if we've got some more questions right now. When and where do you think Doksuri will make its first landfall?
Probably on one of the tiny Philippine islands, probably.
Yeah, that's most likely because you know GFS has been.
Oh no, I still think it could make landfall on Luzon.
I'm not saying it couldn't. I just said that just saying that, it's more likely that it won't than if it does. Things could change though, as it always is in this kind of field of typhoons and stuff like that.
Goober says, could the Western Pacific hit 300 ACE units this season? The last season with 300 ACE was 2018, but due to Mawar, the ACE currently is at 76.6. Any thoughts on that? No thoughts on that. I don't know. Western Pacific always has the potential. It's got rocket fuel in the Philippine Sea across the whole basin at the minute with sea surface temperatures. So, and I did see one or two comments about people in the area. If you do have any observations for us, do let us know if it's safe to do so, which at the moment it should still be. Intan joins us from Malaysia in the chat there as well. Nice to see you there. Saying that Doksuri looks intimidating with expected rapid intensification soon. A Moment of Lovely is also here with us as well. Joe says it's very windy in Bicol. Beef Plays says in Abra it's starting to get cloudy now and they think it might start raining later. I would agree with that. And that's all I've caught up with right now. Oh yes, Another comment there. Did no one mention the AOI in the Atlantic? And thanks for the live update.
I think it's still there.
I think it is still there, but it's not doing very much.
It's
Ironically, I don't have images of the Atlantic to show you, but I do have the East Pac and West Pac.
Oh,
There's
good.
the Eastern Pacific right now. Oh my goodness, there's nothing going on here, Ethan.
Oh, is Ethan gonna cry?
No.
Not yet.
We'll get there eventually.
There's the Western Pacific, a wide shot of the whole basin. Nice imagery there, of course, showing first light reaching Typhoon Doksuri.
939 millibars.
From what?
I'm looking at the stream right now. I think that stream's delayed for me. I don't know. Carry on.
Oh, it must be very delayed because I think we were talking about that ages ago. Amount of Lovely says that they cannot tell where the first landfall will be. Would that be the honest and true, most realistic answer?
Probably. I've got
Philippines. It's somewhere in the Philippine Islands. I don't know yet.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, go on, Ethan.
So I've got imagery up of the Atlantic now.
You do.
At least I'm trying to find a decent one that can work with this. Yeah, we'll just go to the basic one. So there's a look at the Atlantic right now. You can see dawn up here. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, dawn has fallen apart.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Clearly up in the post-tropics now. It is around 45.6 degrees north. So it is up there.
Sure is.
Yesterday it looked so well around this time.
And I assume this is the area of interest, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, the sad, depressing area.
Some people already marked it as a tropical depression.
There it is.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, I'm
The
not
National Hurricane Center right now are giving this a 40% chance of development in the next 7 days. I almost said 5 days. Still getting used to that 7-day formation chance. And 30% in the next 2 days.
I just never saw what the fuss was with this. I only ever went up to 30% on it, and NHC
There's
went
so
to
much
70%.
cheer in front of it. It's not even funny.
Even I bought the 70% that the ANC gave it. Even I bought it.
I just didn't see it. I know it. Some people suggested it came very close a couple of nights ago, but
Yes, yeah, I've heard that some people in our community even have it as a tropical cyclone back over here, and I would say absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely no. I agree on that, Ethan.
So they're still giving it 40%. Is that them saving face, or does it actually still have a chance of development?
Well, I'm looking at my other monitor here real quick. Let's have a look at the 18Z GFS. Oh my god. It kills it off before it even moves through Barbados. So,
But global models
I mean,
are very good
do
at
you
doing
see
that.
the satellite? Do you see the satellite
But
in front of it?
There was a valid point earlier on in its life cycle, though, where the global models are notoriously poor at MDR systems, usually small ones, and miss
this
them.
one.
And they, what was one of the? There was some model that was going nuts with it. What was it?
I don't know. HWRF completely kills it off before Barbados, long before Barbados, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. There's no hope for it then.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally, I would pick formation chances to continue to drop on this. I really
give
don't
it
see this developing.
literally give it a 5% chance of formation at this
man.
point, because it's a very bad spot where it's going to be going through, and if it somehow, for whatever circumstance, survives the immense shear that it's going to go through, congratulations to it, and good luck in the Gulf.
Well, could end up in your Eastern Pacific, Ethan.
A little remnant low.
All right, let's see if we can get some more comments then after that little interlude of non-Westpac action. Let's see. Right. David Dyer says, "Would you think..." I don't think you finished your sentence there, but it says, "Would you think the strongest storm this year is going to be?" I imagine was the ending to that question. I don't know if... I mean, Western Pacific usually takes the cake. May have even already happened. Imagine if Moa turns out to be the strongest storm of the year.
It's gonna be like Surrogate back in 2021.
Yeah.
But I won't count on it really. I think it's gonna maybe push out something more intense. Just a wild guess, but yeah.
Arone of Lovely reporting soft clouds over southern Manila Bay and south of Metro Manila. No rain, maybe some minutes of sun soon. And you can just about make out on the graphic behind there that the capital region getting some light, maybe moderate cloud at times with a small little gap, and maybe another little gap before the main part of the storm starts to get close. Of course, we do expect it to pull away, but as it is right now, it is still moving due west. And the longer we go without this turn northwestwards, the more concerned I'm personally getting, Ethan. You're adamant that it's going to happen very soon. Oh, he's not here. Tanya, what do you think?
Well, happen very soon. Honestly, Nathan, in more recent frames, I'm starting to see a little wobble towards the south.
Oh my god.
Because
wobble.
that could also, it could also just be because the eye seems to be a little bit smaller. It does appear that the eye is shrinking a little bit, which that could be part of it trying to get itself together.
Hard to tell.
It's
Very
hard to tell right now, but it's also a factor of, since it's moving so slow, it's hard to tell the direction in a more present time frame. Like in the last hour, so kind of does look like it's gradually going along, maybe a little pinch towards the south.
I can't disagree. It's certainly not going north.
It's not going north yet.
It's probably gonna turn like right at the tip.
Yeah, it's gonna be a slow turn.
It's probably going to scrape like that northern part of the Philippines.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets very dangerously close.
Yeah.
Would you, Nathan?
Close to where, sorry?
Close to the northern Philippine island.
I'm pretty sure that's going to happen already.
Because if it doesn't turn soon, it's either gonna make a landfall somewhere as it's turning, or clip an island as it's turning. It depends how far. If it starts to turn in the next, I don't know, hour, it will miss, depending how fast it turns. And that's the big question.
Maury says, when we saw the day 10 to 16 outlook on the GFS model last night on the Tropical Weather Bulletin, do we think one of the storm line could actually create a Hone?
Oh my
I know
god.
anything past day 10
Stop.
is very unlikely,
Stop.
but you know.
No.
Stop.
No
I
Hone.
remember what you're talking about. There was a fleet of storms that were starting to develop and was shooting off across the towards the east in the Western Pacific. They didn't reach the international dateline before forming, though. So that would be a really wacky way to get a Hone, but it's not going to happen that way. No. Nope.
like right now, Zoom Earth shows that it's already made its turn, but I don't know about that
Really?
fully. Yeah, on its like track cone, but you know how reliable that is.
No.
On the track has shown it gone a little north, but if it's taking this trajectory, it's gonna be such a slow turn. No, at the current rate, if it keeps going the way it is, and this is the said turn, it's gonna make landfall at at the tip of the island.
It may well do, yeah. Comment there as well. Will Typhoon Doksuri enhance the southwest monsoon? It looked that way to me on models that I was looking at, where there are very large areas that are getting enhanced amounts of rain from Mindoro, which will be partly due to Doksuri, possibly partly monsoonal in the next week, getting extreme amounts of rain possibly, to places like Thailand and maybe Cambodia, which are also looks like coastal areas could get very extreme rainfall in the next 7 days as well. I'm not that well versed with the monsoon itself, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. But certainly for Mindoro, they could get something in between the two that could really enhance rainfall. And then, of course, you've got this next system, which could just... I mean, we saw that banding trailing over Guam, which could cause extreme rainfall there as well, but we don't know yet. And will we reach 92 for the yearly average? They're referring to storms per year that we receive worldwide. I think we will. We're entering El Nino, so I definitely think we will. We're at 31 right now, I think. That Random X says, was there any chance of the remnant low, formerly known as Calvin, forming into something new in the Western Pacific? No.
Oh, no.
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 Sadly.
No shot, no.
10 seconds later, we have a new investor.
I would.
Well,
if that happens.
Get sucked into a new storm, maybe, but doubt the actual rotation itself will survive.
Just looking at some more comments here as well. Is Metro Manila going to be raised to Signal 1? That's a really good question. At this rate, if it does continue that westward movement, I would say yes. If it's still moving west by... What time are we up to? I can't remember when the update times are, but assuming there's one at 5 p.m, if it's still moving west by then I would say Manila should definitely get a Signal 1. Or sooner.
Calvin, yeah, I don't think Calvin will survive into any new life.
It's already...
However, I do know where the leftover remnants of Ian is. I tracked the remnants. It's somewhere in Alaska. What's left of it?
Right now?
Being merged into new systems, yes.
Gee.
I tracked through a very rough satellite.
Oh my god, Daniel, you have a lot of dedication to doing that.
Listen, I want Zoom Earth archive day through day.
I don't know what to say about that. Yes, Ethan.
I've got my the latest forecast cone that I've just produced on my screen, Nathan.
All right, breaking from Force 13,
13.
The new forecast cone with Philippine warnings attached there. You can see the coastal outlines. Tell us about your prognosis, Ethan.
So, of course, Doksuri has continued to track continually westward, and of course, the forecast cone has been adjusted off towards the west. It was originally looking like a track kind of like that going into central Taiwan and has been significantly adjusted off towards the west. I have noted that models have been taking sort of a looping motion over here, over the northern Philippine Islands, and of course that's why the forecast cone kind of wobbles in that direction. Of course, there is still a lot of wiggle room for this storm. It still could go on the northern side, like some of the ensembles do suggest, and make a landfall in central Taiwan or even southern Taiwan. And it, like I said, it could also do so on the southern end and go into Luzon, like some models, mainly the mainly the NavGem is suggesting on in terms of track. I don't think that a Philippine landfall is likely, but we can't rule anything out. And of course, if this storm does make a Philippine landfall, it has to be said that this storm could continue to track off towards the west. And if it does make landfall in Luzon, then this day 3, day 4, and day 5 point would be a considerable southwestward shift, and meaning that Hong Kong could be at threat. That's not looking likely right now, and it's looking likely that the storm is going to push off towards the west and make a close pass to southern Taiwan. Regarding the intensity forecast, it is a challenging one. But given the trend that has been observed over the last 24 hours, just want to point out real quick before I go over the intensity forecast, my forecast cone 24 hours ago, I actually had a forecast intensity now of 100 miles per hour, so it's 5 miles per hour higher than that. And given that the storm is looking pretty good, I think I might even raise the intensity up a little bit more in about an hour on our tropical weather outlook. We'll have to wait and see, though. I've driven the peak intensity accordingly up to minimal super typhoon status, 150 miles per hour, in around 2 days from now. I have noticed that the models do suggest that the storm, once it gets up towards Category 4 status, perhaps the rate of intensification might slow a little bit, Nathan.
Yes, I think so. I don't really see this as a candidate for Category 5 status, and whether it even gets to super typhoon status is still, I would say, a 50-50. But regardless of all that, it does look like its peak intensity will be as it's passing the northern tip of Luzon and through those islands.
But you'll also notice, look at the collapse of this storm intensity as it moves into China, though.
It's not surprising, though.
No, it really isn't. You can see here in 24 hours, it goes from 125 to 90 miles per hour. How much of a reduction is that? I think that's 35 miles an hour in 24 hours. I believe so.
Seems worse.
Yeah, we've seen a lot worse. And it collapses even more as it moves into mainland China. That's 40 miles per hour in 24 hours. Of course, we've seen worse than that even. Cough, cough, Goni. But anyway, I digress. Of course, that's just my latest forecast, Conan, and it is quite big. You'll notice that the track forecast that I've given it in the next 24 to 36 hours is pretty good, but the cone grows considerably beyond that. So I would be, if I were in Taiwan, if I were in northern Luzon, or even Hong Kong over to probably Shanghai even, I'd watch out for the storm very closely, as if the storm continues to shift off towards the east, which is unlikely at this point, but it could, then that would put more of Shanghai at risk. But anything's possible with this storm regarding track, but a bit of an uncertain situation regarding the intensity and track of this storm.
Thanks for that, Ethan. This is Force 13 live commentary on Typhoon Doksuri into our second hour of 2 on tonight / this morning's coverage. It's nice of you to join us. My name is Nathan Foy. I'm joined by our team once again. We have Dino, Ethan, Alex, Taniel, and Marlene with us, and yourselves, of course, you can send in your own comments and questions, which we'll be able to take live on the air. And if you've got any observations for us as well, wherever you are, that may be of interest, then feel free to send those in as well. Before I go any further, does anyone want to just a little open floor here if anyone wants to add anything?
Nothing right now.
Yeah, our panel seems satisfied. Okay.
I have a question for you, Nathan. I don't really know how I'd look for this. I know if I was looking for this in the U.S., it'd be pretty easy. But outside of the Western Pacific regarding this question, I'm a bit lost here. But what are the rainfall totals looking like in the past few days regarding the outer bands over the Philippines? Rainfall total accumulations. What do they look like recently?
I don't know either, but some of our I'm sure some of our folks over there will know. Amount of Lovely, I'm looking at you. I reckon they'll know. But as far as I can see, they're not very concerned about flooding at the moment. Just looking. I'm just looking at the dam water levels across the Philippines as well. It looks like they're a little bit low compared to average, so they are a little bit. I'm just trying to make sense of all this. Oh no, there are lots of flood advisories actually. Do beg my pardon. It's very difficult to make sense of this website. There's general flood advisories for lots of locations from Samar all the way through to Aurora, and I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to wait until someone who actually knows tells us something.
Good idea.
Yeah, but you know, there's going to be a lot of rainfall from this, whether the ground is saturated or not. It is going to be potentially 500 millimeters, which more, 700 millimeters, which could cause severe flooding regardless. And it's not always the amount of rain either, it's the rate of rain. And under some of those big convective bands, we could see very high rain rates. Now then, let's see if we've got some more comments here. Hurricane Olsen Bronze says, how high are Doksuri's cloud top temperatures? Or I think the question is, how low are they? Because they go well into the minuses, of course. And we're probably talking about minus 85 or so at some of the peaks right now. And it's quite difficult. The verbiage can be quite confusing. We talk about peaks, that's in altitude, physical altitude above the ground. And then we talk about temperatures, which go down, of course, as the higher tops reach further up into the Earth's atmosphere. So into the minus 80s, which generally corresponds, I think, usually must be something like 50,000 feet or so. Or maybe a little less than that in terms of height. If Doksuri continues to struggle consolidating, would this be correlated to its westward direction?
No, the movement vector doesn't really say why this storm is looking like it is right now. It's more so dry air. And I'll pull my screen up here, Nathan, and
All right.
I'll explain the dry air environment. I don't know how. Oh, okay, then that's good. So basically, looking at this graphic, you can see the brighter areas are more areas that have more moisture. And
Ethan, I recommend I recommend the last one that's blue and yeah.
Oh, this one's much better actually. So anyway, same thing. Brighter colors mean more water is available in the atmosphere, and darker colors mean less. So you can see here on particularly on the eastern and southeastern and eastern, and I'm just getting my words straight again. But you can see here very bright colors on the southern side of the storm, and
Yep.
And accordingly, that's where the coldest cloud tops are. But you can see here, particularly on the western and northwestern sides here, maybe a little bit of dry air getting entrained into the core here. But if I go back over to the satellite imagery here on this, courtesy of Levi Cowan's website here, Topical Tidbits, you can see here in that last few frames, that cloud top on the northern side is wrapping quite rapidly around the northern side. So perhaps this convective burst will be able to rotate around that northwestern quadrant of the eye and wrap all the way around, and maybe the dry air that's already in the island might maybe get trapped a little bit and might help clear out the storm's eye and may help the storm a little bit. We'll have to wait and see on that. There is still a lot that can change with the storm, but that's just something that I'm observing right now, Nathan.
Notwithstanding that, I don't really feel like it's improved in the last 3-4 hours.
No, it really hasn't. But I think that we're starting to see improvement again. I think in the latest frames.
We're getting a good feel for its structure there, but do we have any microwave comparisons from the last 12 hours or so that we could look at?
Yes, actually, we have microwave here. There it
Oh,
is.
there we go. Well, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's just looking at the time now. That is
Not long ago.
No, not that long ago at all. And here's a different look if you prefer that one. Just noting this microwave structure, that looks Iowa Poison Cycle prone.
Hmm.
So that might limit the storm intensity a little bit.
It does look. The eye is pretty ragged, so would make sense.
Although the broadness of the storm could offset that a little bit, maybe.
Here's a new view, another view of the visible image here, and I think we're joined by Farhan as well.
Hello.
Yes, sorry, I caught you a bit off guard there. Nice of you to join us. You're actually closest to the storm out of anyone in our chat right now, so in our panel here. So what are your thoughts on Doksuri? Of course, you're not in the path of the storm, but of course we'd like to hear your views.
Well, it's an interesting storm, and I'm sure over the last hour you all have already gone over analogs and ones that are probably much more closer aligned to the current situation. But I'd just like to weigh in the perspective of veteran storm chaser James Reynolds, who said that the situation right now reminds him of Nanmadol of 2011, which was 12 years ago. Time flies, eh? But yeah. It reminds him of that because he's currently having the same conundrum of whether going to northern Luzon or southern Taiwan. Back then, he chooses southern Taiwan, which ended up being the wrong choice because Nanmadol ended up making landfall in Luzon. And he's having that same conundrum again of whether to go in northern Luzon or southern Taiwan. And looking from his social media, he hasn't made a decision on that yet.
You're looking at the storm right now with us, I assume, and are you surprised that it's going a little bit further west than first expected?
Well, if we just simply took the cone of the official agency for this patient, the GMA, then yes, but of course, most people within this community are a bit skeptical of them. And so I suppose if we go away from them, you could say that it's not much of a surprise. But for me personally, it is a bit of a surprise. But I suppose that's because I kind of rely on official infos too much instead of my own prognosis and analysis.
All right. A comment here. Pegasus Bulletin says that the highest possible wind signal warnings is a 4 or 5, and they want to know our thoughts. Well,
it being possible is different from it's from it actually going to happen. They saying it's possible, I think shouldn't be really taken as anything that a bit of something just keep in the back of your mind. It's nothing too serious in terms of these kind of things, I think.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Above Lovely came back with a comment there. To fill up the Magat Dam, it would need at least 36 hours of moderate to heavy rain to make it reach its maximum. That they need the rain not in the cities, but that land needs it. I just wondered if you wanted to make a comment there, Taniel.
No, but that is an interesting thing to say. Are they in a bit of a drought over there?
I don't know, but as far as I saw on a lot of the dams, that they're a little low compared to average.
So maybe a little bit more of a droughty. Is that word? More of a drought than normal.
I think. Cursed Chaos says, what is the probability of typhoon conditions in Taiwan? I would still say that's pretty likely right now.
Even if it doesn't
Southern
hit,
tip.
it has a decent chance of somewhere on the island having typhoon force winds.
And from what we saw on models, it may have a very large typhoon wind field by that point as well.
Yep.
I'm clicking things where I shouldn't. Right, another comment here. Do you think that Invest 95L will form into a tropical depression or a tropical storm? You thought we'd gotten over that one, guys, but
Nope.
No.
None of the above.
none of the above.
None of the above.
Bye-bye. No.
Bye-bye. No.
Oh, dude.
Bye.
Right. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we're up to right now. Let me just double check that Pegasa haven't done any more updates. I don't think they have. But just to reiterate, the information right now is that Signal 2 warnings are in effect for the northern tip, coastal tip of Catanduanes, and for the southeastern coast of Isabela provinces in Luzon. And we have Signal 1 warnings in effect still for the entirety of Samar, Biliran Island, and Masbate as well, and the whole southeastern peninsula of Luzon, and moving up through Quezon, Aurora, and a lot of the northern reaches of the island as well, now extending all the way to the west coast at Pangasinan. And of course, for the Babayan Islands, I think the Batanes are in that as well now. Do we think that Invest 91W will become a major typhoon? That's the next system behind of course, our current typhoon. We can just
It might.
throw up that wide shot again. There's the
Major typhoon possible. Typhoon possible. Tropical storm likely. That would be what I would say right now. Track hard to say, but Taiwan looks to be at risk again from 91W.
And then there's possibly another one after that that hits. That possibly, smashes into Japan.
That big burst of clouds southeast of Doksuri, that is that Invest 91W, which is producing a lot of rainfall already, but it will probably be a while before it develops. It will want to get outside of Doksuri's influence. And just for your information, Ethan, if you wait maybe about 30 seconds, WSV3 graphics will have updated for the 18 ZGFS.
Oh, goody.
Yes.
Oh, goody.
Oh, goody.
Oh my god, he's excited.
But luckily, regarding 91W, for it's got this going for it. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's pretty much going to be stalling there for the next 2 days or so before it even develops. And once it develops into a tropical cyclone, that's when it should start getting its move on, which could take some time.
All right, let's switch back to that. There we go. In front of us here on the main screen now, a hybrid view of the visible imagery as we had day breaking and the infrared on top of that. You can see quite clearly the northwestern side has a bit of a hole in it. Eastern and southern side blowing up good amounts of convection now, as of course Ethan has pointed out, getting close to minus 90 degrees Celsius actually on those latest images.
Also, Nathan, want to bring up a fact. If it kept going the way it is, which eventually it's going to turn, but we just don't know where it's going to turn. Currently, from the center, the rough center of the eye, it's roughly around 340 miles away from the coastline. If it keeps going the direction it does right now. Which I doubt it will get to that coastline, but it might get to the northern coastline.
Trying to figure that out in kilometers, probably about 550 kilometers or so.
The northern tip is about 371 miles. So we'll see.
Okay. not had any other comments of note just there, and just so that everyone is on the same page here. Doksuri is a storm that we're currently giving 105 miles per hour sustained winds. That's about 170 kilometers per hour. An estimated central pressure of 961 millibars. We expect further intensification over the next 48 hours with an expected peak of maybe 150 miles per hour super typhoon. That's 240 kilometers per hour. And a pressure on models at the moment suggesting the upper 930s. A Moment of Lovely has just told us that working government offices and classes in public schools at all levels are suspended this Monday in anticipation of the inclement weather brought by the storm local name Ige and the 72-hour transport strike in Metro Manila.
Well, speaking of transport, it's not in Metro Manila, but I've also been seeing that shipping activity, both passenger and cargo, has been suspended all across the Visayas region. And as a result, on the passenger side, about 300 people has been stranded at various ports. So it's good they're not taking any chances with it, I suppose.
Yeah, don't want to see any ships out there with a ginormous storm on the loose.
And something that I've not been able to show, so if anyone on our team can, that would be appreciated. Any thoughts about the JMA's cone? And that they're pretty rubbish with 10-minute winds. So could we have a little look at that, someone, and dissect what they're forecasting?
Let me see what I can do here.
So we'll try and get that at some point. But this storm continues to venture generally westwards at a fairly slow pace, probably about 4 or 5 miles per hour. So it's a very peculiar position that we're currently in right now. But we do expect that northwestward turn and a slight increase in pace will begin, hopefully, very soon. We say hopefully because if it does so, it will start to avoid those high population zones.
Nathan, do you want to see this ridiculous infrared model?
Oh, I may as well have a bit of a laugh.
Let's
It's
see it.
worth. Shall we?
What's
So-
this then?
So if we,
H3RF?
yeah. It looks fine initially. Yep. All of a sudden, it starts making a
Big eye roll
ginormous spool of it.
replacement. Probably Cat 4 there is pig.
Big.
Yeah, look at that eye. That little island right there.
That little island would be in the eye for some time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine records like 868 millibars in there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm kidding. That's what happened with Miranchi, though.
And Farhan,
Yeah.
we're with you now. There's JMA's cone. What are they predicting for the peak?
Let's see here. Let's see. Tomorrow, typhoon very strong, 45 meters per second. That's for tomorrow. For the 25th, it's 50 meters per second. For the 26th, that's I guess that's the peak, 50 meters per second of 100 knot, 10-minute winds.
So it was what?
That's on the 25th, Tuesday, 50 meters per second or 100 knots, 10-minute wind.
Right, so that's a low-end category 4 there on the forecast. And what about its intensity when it makes landfall in China?
Let's
the one before
hold
that.
on, no, that's well inland. That's one inland. I just realized. 975 HPA, 30 meters per second, 55 knots, 10-minute wind, with gusts of 40 meters per second or 80 knots, 10-minute winds.
That sounds about right. So JMA track there, I think, is respectable. I think there's a bit more of a curve north or eastwards towards the end of that cone there. And I don't know if you can zoom in any further near the Philippines. It's very close to a landfall on that northern tip of Luzon.
I can. Right here.
It's quite close. I think that is slightly south of Pegasus cone. Or at least one of its earlier cones. May not be up to date on that, but clearly shows you
Oh, it's gonna peak.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
It's gonna peak right around here. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
According to the
Yeah, the model I'm looking at right now kind of says the
Yeah.
exact track.
What's that?
The model I'm looking at right now, which is kind of signifies that exact same track.
And with the 925
Now that's
millibar
powerful
peak.
there. That's the HAFS.
920.
Yeah.
925 right here.
Yep. 925 is like around like high end category 4, low end category 5, right?
Roughly.
Yeah.
More on
It
the
depends on
Cat
storm to
side.
storm.
Probably depends all down to the environmental stuff.
The storm of this size,
Nine
it would probably only be
conditions.
about 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
most
And this model shows it not even getting close enough to Taiwan for a typhoon.
I think it
This
might.
was-
Well, it
think it might
moves
just-
much further west on that model there.
yeah.
How good is the reputation of that model?
Absolutely no idea.
Me neither. So
Take it with a grain of salt, like
Yeah,
every other
caution.
model. Let's see what else.
Ethan, have you got your model?
I'm loading those up now.
Oh, cool.
I'm looking at the
And
model as well,
They're-
but
It's just generating all the frames right now.
Are you going all the way to the long range?
I am.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Nathan, I have
Race
a
for
model I
impact.
can also show.
What's that?
I also have a model I can show.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look.
HWRF parent.
Parent. Oh yeah.
Parent. Yeah. So
Parent.
this one
Which is-
actually shows it would move away from the Philippines and actually make a landfall on
landfall.
Taiwan at 954 millibars or 941, somewhere around there, and then exit Taiwan with 965. They're probably around like a category 2, and then landfalls on China, like that.
953.
953.
Yes,
Wow.
it says at the top.
Oh my
And
god.
And Max
look-
wins with. Okay.
Look at 91 W down to the bottom right,
Uh-huh.
mid 950s at day
Yeah.
5. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yep, right there, intensifying.
Well, I advise
wow.
caution on that one, Ethan. There is a little glitch on the HWRF that when you're looking at one storm, it can overdo the other storm that's not focused on.
Oh.
Yeah, Ethan.
Having said that, I wonder if that same model has 91W on it.
Not sure. I mean, could take a
Not
look
yet.
at it. Oh wait,
I don't
no.
think so.
No.
Wrong system.
So I advise caution on that one at the moment.
I think this was the one that Tanya was just on.
Let's see if we can get some more comments and questions right now. This is Force 13 Live. We're covering Typhoon Doksuri on this 2-hour live stream. And it's great to have you here, by the way. Would Doksuri make a Category 1 landfall in China, question mark? I would say that's the most likely scenario at the moment. But things could change quite a lot. And that's pretty much all the questions we have
WSV3.
right now.
WSV3 is ready for me, Nathan.
Oh, it is very good. I was just
So-
playing for time a little bit there, so let's see what we've got, and you may as well take us around the world as well since you've got it.
Yep, we'll start out here in the Atlantic. So there's the remnants of there's Dawn as it
Still
stands right
tropical
now.
storm done, yep.
Yeah, GFS has it with winds of 70 miles per hour right now. It's not.
Nope.
You can see it quickly move off towards the east there and quickly die out. I imagine it'll probably be a remnant low or post-tropical probably by this time tomorrow, if not sooner.
Yep.
So it's going to quickly move out here. And where's the remnants of it go after that?
Let me guess.
You can see it's still there, moving off towards the northeast, and its remnants look like that. It's still around there, but at that point, it's long gone. At that point,
No, keep going. Does it go over my house? Nearly.
Well,
Nearly.
actually, I did look on the
Maybe.
models. It did say it could lower down to 988 millibars.
And still some storm force winds
On
as well
GFS,
as it
I think that was
reaches
the model.
Western Europe.
We'll go back down here to 95L. You can see that there's absolutely nothing left of it. And
Yeah, it's
there it is.
There's a little thing going on
Moving
there.
through Barbados, and as soon as it passes by Barbados, it's gone.
Wow.
Goodbye.
No,
It's
fine.
just
No.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's
That's it. There it is.
No, no.
Oh yeah,
That's
moving through the Caribbean there.
that's a borderline
And
TC
dies.
still.
Still there.
Then it's dead for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's gone. Anything else in the Atlantic over the next 7 days? What the heck is that?
Oh, Nathan.
No.
A little thing.
That thing down there. But nothing in the Atlantic over the next 7 days, which is
Wah.
good news.
Good.
Good.
Eastern
Wow.
Pacific over the next 7 days.
Should be.
Come on,
quiet.
how about? Yeah, I imagine it should be very quiet. Well,
That's
people
gonna
have a
fall
look
in
here.
pack.
Nothing through day 5 here. Oh, something pops up at day 6 here.
I wouldn't get excited about that.
Oh wow.
No,
Yeah.
but nothing
Nope.
through
Rud.
the next 7 days here in the
Alright,
Eastern
then.
Pacific.
Yeah,
Now
I
let's
said run.
let's
Deal
go to the
with it.
train wreck. So here's
Wait,
Doksuri.
wait. You forgot the Central Pacific.
No, we don't need to look at that.
Okay, I'm just looking for a Patsy repeat for the Central Pacific, and I don't think that's gonna happen.
So
Ever.
GFS over the next 7 days. Here's Doksuri here. This is
Now let's stop it right there because next 24 hours, according to that, has a lot of intensification.
yeah. We'll scan it here. That's trying to see if I can get like the actual highest wind speed here. Around low Category 3.
But
It's
GFS
gonna be-
isn't
it's-
very good at resolving that anyway.
No, it's gonna be stronger than this by this point because it's knocking on that intensity now. So
But just skip, yeah.
and
there's
there's clearly a lot stronger now. That's probably a high end Cat 3, low Cat 4 there probably. 126. Let's see if we can get anything stronger, and then it goes back down again. And I imagine inevitably it does end up becoming a Category 4 later on. Yeah, clear Cat 4 there. Yeah, there it is. So clear Cat 4 there, passes very close to the northern Philippine Islands. Maybe a landfall in one of them, maybe even,
Oh yeah,
on whatever that one is.
that is a
Whatever that one
landfall.
is.
I'm not sure which one
And
I did
then
myself. Actually, I didn't get this. I
Very
think that
close
one-
past.
That one was
Typhoon
Babayan
force.
Island.
I'll just outline the coast of Taiwan here to see if they actually do get the eye wall of this storm. They do. Looks like all of it actually maybe gets it.
Wow.
So that's a
Interesting.
incredibly close pass there into Taiwan, and I gotta say it's moving a lot further poleward than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and
Huh.
oh
And then
no,
it corrects itself.
jogs
Then it
back
corrects
there.
itself.
Yeah, but it gets completely shredded up by those mountains, and
Yeah.
then the final blow with the landfall in China there.
But by the way, Ethan, if you go back to the Atlantic side of things,
Oh,
if you look at the 5-day outlook thing, it looks like they decreased it again.
NHC have decreased.
It
Yeah,
looks like
they've gone down to 30% in 7 days.
Sounds right to
Yep.
me.
But quick collapse for Doksuri once it moves inland. I mean, look at that. It just
Yeah.
capitulates, which is quite normal.
good.
And you can
But
see
it
there's the
doesn't.
remnants of it.
It keeps going though. It does
Yeah,
keep
there's
going.
the remnants moving up there. Clearly post-tropical by this point.
Yep.
but still remnants of the storm moving into North Korea there. That day
Good.
7. And you've got this thing down here.
And then straight away,
Ooh.
there's your next one.
But first, I want to go back
That
and
gets
see
strong.
what the GFS has for this storm's peak intensity.
Wait,
I
that
think
90.
around there is peak intensity.
That's about right.
130 miles an hour.
Yeah, 130 miles per hour, but it's going to be stronger than that.
Yeah.
So that's what it has for Doksuri. Regarding 91W, here it is down here. You can see once Doksuri moves out of the scene, conditions really turn up for this storm, becoming a tropical cyclone on what day is this? Wednesday, according to the GFS.
Is that a tropical cyclone?
Probably.
It definitely is there.
Yeah. And then becoming a typhoon on what day is this? I believe it's Friday.
That's the oddest shape of a typhoon I've seen.
Yeah. But
Very elongated.
it's probably bending to the south, probably. And then becoming very strong
Yeah,
already.
off it goes.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
That's probably mid-Cat 3 there. Probably a Cat 4 at this point.
Much
Very
smaller.
small.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll notice that it is tiny compared to Doksuri, which that'll aid the storm, actually. And that's through 7 days. North Indian Ocean, I don't think there'll be anything here. We'll
No.
go back.
Well, something keeps trying.
Yeah, there's that off the coast of India. I don't think that'll do anything. That's just monsoonal stuff, yeah. Just kind of just...
Tries to get a
Capitulate.
rotation going, though.
Hmm.
But I think it's just
Never
too
can.
broad.
Southern Hemisphere, if
No.
anyone cares. We'll
I don't
skip
think
over that.
I don't think anything's gonna cook up in the southern hemisphere, to be honest.
Right, medium range here.
Oh, you're doing
So
all
this
the...
is-
Oh, man, this is going to take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, medium range here. I'll make this quick in the Atlantic because we only have this one thing. That moves through the Lesser Antilles and dies in the Caribbean graveyard. Moves into Hispaniola, and that'll definitely kill it off. Yeah, there it goes. I went way past that period there, but that's the Atlantic. Absolutely nothing there. Good. Hope it stays that way. Eastern Pacific, this potential system. Nothing, unfortunately. So really, it's just the
Ethan,
Western Pacific.
Unfortunately, showing your bias for
Unfortunately,
North.
Ethan's gonna cry.
Oh
now.
boy,
Yeah.
boy.
It's just the Western Pacific, really, that we have to worry about. And 91W here, which becomes... makes a close pass
We
to...
really need to see what happens
the-
here, because I saw it up to
Yeah.
day 7 where it was about to... It might hit northern Taiwan, it might miss. It stalls.
makes landfall on that island.
Yonaguni, I think? No, that's the...
Hmm.
No, that one was
Re-intensifying.
Miyakijima.
Weakens a little bit as it passes over the island, Nathan. And then re-strengthens
Then
as it
off it-
passes north of Taiwan. Oh. What happens there? It sort of does this little like loop thing.
I'm sure there's a storm that's done that before.
Which storm?
And then
I
heads into
Don't
into
remember.
China.
Probably in the last 20 years.
But that's 91W. And then you have this system back off towards its east. Oh my goodness.
That's
Dang.
enormous.
We'll go through the whole run here.
There's
That
always
is
one that ends up looking like that in July, August.
yeah, this
Oh
is
my
this is
Look at that big band.
oh my goodness.
It's
That's
huge.
crazy. And then oh my gosh, back here to the
That's
east.
not Hone territory, is it? Oh my goodness, it's split into two. What the hell?
Wait, what? Hold on, replay it. Hold on.
I think we've got a bit of a feedback loop going on there. There's 1, 2,
Well-
3, 4, 5, 6 potential cyclones there.
I'm curious. I want to
Yeah,
play
no.
this here.
Yeah,
this is
nah,
this is
nah.
the whole run here. This is the whole run.
Yeah.
There's 91W,
Yep.
and then you have whatever this mess is. That
And
happens.
big
another
fan.
one shoots off it.
Yeah,
And then you've got
look at
1,
that.
2,
And then-
3, 4, 5, 6. My God. And hold on a
Those-
minute. On that
are those
last frame,
excellent?
what's going on? Ethan, last frame, please. What's
Hey,
going on
Ethan.
at the bottom right?
Oh, that? Wait, what? Hold on. Hold on. Play it.
Look, this model run's broken. I mean, that's the end of the run, so...
Yeah. So here it is.
Start playing it.
There's that system. starting to develop.
Okay.
This is extremely long range in the GFS,
it
and
ain't
is
gonna
not
happen,
going
guys.
to happen. It's not going to happen.
Knock on wood.
But I just want to real quick go back to 240 hours out. I don't know how many days this is out.
Last 10 days.
Yeah, this is 10 days out. And I was wanting to look at the rainfall to see what it has. Oh, wow.
A lot.
That's a lot of rain.
So there's Doksuri, and you can see that it's uptrended a little bit for actually quite significantly for Taiwan here.
Well, that
At least on
the
this
second
one.
storm, won't it?
34.3 inches for Taiwan.
No, I don't think it is. We can go back here.
Well, actually, I didn't find out what the actual number was.
Oh, yeah, that is for the second one. Yeah, so that's for both of them.
So
these numbers are a little bit
total-
inflated in Taiwan. That's a lot of rainfall, though.
Yeah.
Even for two tropical cyclones back to back. And you'll notice here that because the storm does this little stalling motion, that there's a lot of rainfall regarding 91W up here if it gets up here.
Coast of China as well.
Yeah, there's that's all from 91W.
Yeah, that is.
then
Maybe a
you've
little
got
bit from Doksuri, but only
Doks-
about 4 or 5 of those inches.
And then you've got the rainfall threat down here. Still a lot of rainfall over western portions of Luzon, and whatever heck is going on down here.
Well, that's what I was talking about. This potential
Wait, what?
enhanced
Hold on.
monsoon
Wait, hold
might
on. You
cause
can move
that.
back down there. I didn't get to see the numbers.
It was 55 inches.
But
a previous
that's a lot of
model
rain.
run said 61 inches in 7 days.
Hey, what? How?
Yeah,
Wait,
well,
what?
we'll see what it maximizes at the whole
That's
run.
gone down now, though.
Yo.
Well, it's off the scale.
72 inches.
72 inches. Oh my god.
That's
No
not
way.
going to happen.
And
I don't know.
Well, that
no
color
way.
scale only goes up to 72, so it's more than that.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think
100
that will.
inches plus.
But we'll go back.
But that's in
We'll
16
go back
days.
through. Yeah, we'll go back out here to 7 days out, and you can see here. There's that thing over Guam happening again. And
They don't need rain, especially
Going
after
back-
what happened.
I wonder if I could get reflectivity. Yeah. So this is why we're seeing this inflated rainfall thing over Guam here. And you can see here, I'll have to load these frames here a little bit, but here's 91W down here developing. And you can see here it has this sort of band to the east of it. And that just kind of just sits over Guam here for a long time.
Some really heavy stuff in that, too.
Yeah. And it's still over here. Just kind of just sits over Guam. And then eventually 91W moves out of the picture and the rainfall threat subsides. Still having lots of rainfall problems here. This is 5 days out now. Going into day 6, still some heavy rainfall problems over Guam. Starting to subside now, luckily.
I
And that is clearly due to the outer bands. I mean, you can just see it here. Here's 91W, and you can just see this large outer band here, stretching all the way down to Guam.
Oh, yeah.
And that just kind of just sets up over there.
Wow. All right, we'd better pull back away from that now and
Yeah.
back to the latest visible image here of Doksuri,
Okay.
which still looks a little bit frail on the western side, but it is generally looking fairly good with large amounts of convection bubbling up in the northern side and pretty much a full semicircle on the southern side there by the looks of things. Not new, but latest loop here from RAM of the rapid scan, and this shows you how the storm has evolved in the last 50 minutes or so. And movement wise, we're still looking at west, but development wise, 3 cores by the looks of things there of convective blow-ups, which could be
Vertical hot towers.
which could be key to the storm's development in the short term. And what really was pertinent to me when you were looking at the GFS model there, Ethan, is that the intensification stint or whatever, the rapid intensification phase looks like it begins pretty much immediately, and that might actually be about to happen in practice.
Yep, I would definitely support that, given the current satellite presentation. I think I'm just analyzing the intensity now. I think it's good to call 110 miles per hour on this now.
Probably. Yeah.
So the storm is strengthening as it moved off towards the west. Still not seeing much of a northwest track yet, albeit the storm is moving incredibly slowly over the last few hours. Although it's hard to say with the storm's eye because it's so ragged, but with these new convective bursts that are wrapping around the eye, I imagine that might help the eye develop even further.
Let's just go and update this image here.
I've been wondering, seeing how the current projections is looking for a close call for Taiwan and for southern Taiwan, and then 90 what we mentioned W, there's going to be another close call this time for northern Taiwan. When was the last time Taiwan actually got a landfall from a major hurricane equivalent typhoon? It's been a while.
You
I
were
don't
looking
remember
at
what
this,
happened
Ethan?
in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
Might be some
I
podcast.
actually went over this data a little bit ago. The last tropical storm to make landfall anywhere in Taiwan was Bailu in 2019. It's been that long, believe it or not. It's been 4
Bailu-
years.
Yeah, but
since-
Bailu isn't a major typhoon though.
Well, that's
I'll get to there. I'll get to there.
that's
So,
just
okay.
tropical cyclone in general. Okay, I
yeah,
see.
so the last typhoon to make landfall, Category 1 or 2, was I forget its name, Nisat in 2017. That was, I believe, a Category 2, Category 1, depending on who you go by, whenever that made landfall in Taiwan. And the last major to make landfall was Napartak.
Oh wow, it's been that long, damn. Okay, wow,
87
that's a long
years.
stretch there for Taiwan. Wow.
Yeah.
And they almost got it with Meranti in the same year.
Now, look at this latest imagery, and it looks to me as though there may be either a very tight loop going on or a significant wobble right now to the south.
I will have to say, it kind of just looks like it might be doing both.
Yeah.
It's very
possible.
it could be, doing a little wobble, like a little loop, but it's going a little south. It's a little hard to say.
We
It's
can
definitely
categorically
seems to
say
you.
it's not going northwest.
Yeah, about
minute.
that. So it's a tricky storm because this storm seems to be slowing down, and this reminds me of something, which, let's go back to 2019. You'll figure it out pretty quickly. But we always thought, oh, when was the turning situation going to happen?
Oh, you're talking about
You
that.
know what Dorian. It's similar in some cases, but not quite.
No. I don't really.
I
It's
mean,
not gonna
we've been
stall out.
wondering this situation of when it's gonna turn, if it's gonna turn. This has happened quite a lot of times. It's not just Dorian. I'm pretty sure
Dorian
it has
was
happened
a
in a shorter
unique
period of
scenario.
time from them.
Well, there's such fine margins with Dorian. This has a little bit more to play with still, but it is still drawing slightly closer to the coast of the Philippines, and those miles are starting to close in. Now, Beef Plays says that it's now very sunny in Abra, and you might, in fact, you can't see it on my screen, but if I pan west, you'll see the Philippines there, and some of those areas up there do have some clear conditions mixed in with some of the peripheral bands. Now, Kyle says, could this be a super typhoon, category 4 or 5? It certainly could. I would say it's 50-50
It
on
has potential.
that. And if you had to say your personal opinions on the maximum peak intensity for Doksuri, what would it be and why?
Absolute maximum. The highest that it could get, 165 miles per hour.
Dang, dude, 165.
Of course. Well, I'll be a bit more conservative than that.
That's a tough one. You're talking about absolute maximum, then I don't think we even
Absolute maximum.
Maximum is.
Yeah, maximum.
It's hard with Westpac systems. It's really hard.
It's not as small as Nipartak, so it won't be 200 miles an hour. But
Oh, jeez, don't
No.
even get started with
I
that.
would
Absolutely
say at least, I would say 185 is the absolute maximum.
It's not going to get anywhere close, though.
Of course.
What
it's
about
not,
175?
But of course it's not.
Jeez.
But if a realistic maximum though, like not a 1 in 1,000 year maximum, which is what I just said, or 10,000 year or whatever. But realistic maximum, I would say 160.
Probably, yeah. That's because the
If you
925
stretched
millibar
it,
peak,
yeah.
but
If you
might
stretch it a
peak
bit,
in-
then yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well.
A few more minutes to get your questions in.
yeah.
If you have any for us after the stream finishes, you can stick around and it will redirect you to our automated stream. A little caution on that, it's not up to date at the moment because I haven't got around to doing it. And I'm not sure if I will be able to, because then I'm going off to do a flight, of course, on the Force 13 Extra channel. We're doing virtual...
I shall be joining you.
virtual typhoon hunting, virtual flight into the center of Doksuri, which might be an eye-opener for some of you.
Oh, really? Really?
Well...
An eye opener?
Yeah. Now...
It has an eye.
Yeah, it does. I've noticed that.
Kidding.
But to be honest, when I'm in flight, I'll probably have plenty of time to update the automated stream, so we'll get around to it. Right then, let's see what else we've got here. George says, I'm just curious, why is it still going west for this long? Is it steering? Is it a high pressure
I believe
ridge?
it is steering. I don't exactly know what kind of steering it is, but I know that's what the situation is.
And how big is it? We've been talking about
Big.
it being big, but just how big is a good question that we actually haven't answered tonight.
Big.
If you're to measure
Yeah, it's big.
proper influence, I would say 1,500 kilometers. If you measure its slight influence, it's very difficult to... about 3,500 kilometers, but I wouldn't really use that number. If you talk about its CDO area, then we're looking at about nearly 400 kilometers. Its eye right now is about 60 kilometers wide, which is about 35 miles, is it? Can't remember.
I think something around that.
Quite a big eye.
Yeah, it seems to be getting a little smaller
Yeah, I'm not sure.
as it's trying to get its eye back together, eye wall. Which those band and the convective bursts are about to wrap fully around.
Yeah, they are actually. Do we think parts of the Philippines will get Signal 3 warnings? I think that will happen.
I think
It
that would as well.
Probably.
Yeah, that probably will happen if it's going like this.
Nathan, at the current rate, I would have to say this is either at least briefly stalled out or moving at 1 mile per hour.
Lowest storm since Dorian.
What?
I wouldn't
Oh,
say
what do you mean
fully
by that?
Yeah, maybe 2 miles an hour, but it's not moving much.
Well, if I'm looking at a longer loop and a faster moving loop than you got over there, and it's barely moved. Actually, I think I know why it looks like it moves, because its eye wall has been it's ragged.
Yeah. Could this storm potentially be catastrophic to China, Taiwan, or even the extreme northern Luzon Islands? It certainly could.
Yes.
I would say more
Good,
rain than
yes.
wind for China. Definitely. Maybe for Taiwan. Luzon, probably a little bit more on the wind side. Tough one. But both of them will be issues. Maury says there's no weather bulletin this time around. This live stream replaces the tropical weather bulletin on this occasion. And will Canoon form in July? I mean, I put the emphasis on the wrong part of that sentence. Will Canoon form in July, Ethan? I think it will.
I think it will, personally.
We've got 7 days, so yeah, I think it definitely will.
I've just scheduled our tropical weather. I like to go out on social media, and I've given it a 60% chance of development right now.
I haven't checked, but that sounds feasible.
Sounds.
If I had to guess, it'll go up into the high category probably tomorrow.
And do we think Signal 4 and 5 will be hoisted? I would say
No.
no to 5, but 4...
No to 5.
4,
definitely
maybe,
not.
if it gets closer.
4 is very possible for the
Northern.
small islands. Yeah, wow, I've got lots of questions coming in now, just as we're running out of time here. Could Doksuri
Of course, it happens all the time.
undergo rapid intensification? Question there from Leopoldo. Well, I think we're about to see it.
Good.
More I'm looking
We'll
at
see in the
this.
next few hours.
Ian says, if Force 13 had a restaurant, I would spend all of my money there.
Dang, dude.
I mean, thank you, but
I'm not
okay.
really in the restaurant business, I'm afraid. I'm not a very good cook. But
I only know how to
started.
cook scrambled eggs, and most of the time it's really bad. So
Alex says, could Canoon become a super typhoon? Well, first of all, it's not pre-named yet, but 91W, could it become a super typhoon? Small chance.
Let's get the storm forming first.
Yeah.
Let's get the storm forming first. Yes.
storm
Let's not make
forming,
any
dude.
judgment.
Can
Not make any
Typhoon
judgment.
Doksuri strengthen during stalling?
Yes.
Yes,
For a
Yes.
time, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
unless it stalls for too long.
Especially
Yes,
in these piping hot oceans.
Normally stalling mitigates a storm intensity, but given that the storm is so large, that will offset things a little bit, I imagine.
And that was another musical jump scare there. That means we're near the end of our stream. Patrick there, thoughts on more vortical hot towers going up, really looking quite violent in terms of those VHTs going up. That's Patrick from our US team. We mentioned it earlier, there's 3 of them right now by the looks of things. It's looking pretty decent now on the latest images.
If I had to guess, raw intensity estimate wise, I'd probably give this probably category 3 now. Raw.
May well be.
Raw,
Of course,
emphasis on that.
going off
that-
based on one
that's-
thing.
That's going to have to sustain probably for a little bit until it actually gets to that intensity, but it is knocking on the doorstep of category 3, and probably category 4, so this is not far too off in the distant future for this storm.
Some interesting comments coming in at the end here. I may as well go through them because we're pretty much done. Ian says, higher strat or cyclone cook, Force 13 let them cook.
What?
Oh,
La Hurricane
Oh.
says, Lee Hurricane, sorry. F13 Restaurant, we sell fresh hit film copies. Merch.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna be
And
giving
seasonal animations there. Guys.
Come on.
I think they're like, I don't know.
We will have more updates on this storm over the next few days. It is a potentially serious situation. We may well be live at a similar time slot tomorrow. We will also have regular updates on the Force 13 channel. Thanks to our team for taking part, guys. It was great to have you on the air with me. But from myself, Nathan Foy, and our team, we'll see you again soon. Good night, or good day as it is over there
Good night.
in the Philippines.